The value of metaphors. A metaphor is a visual description to associate with. Words can easily be forgotten, where a metaphor is often easier to remember for a long time, especially for a visual person. An example of a metaphor can be: you are like the sun shining. When you smile and give other people recognition and appreciation, you make other people glow. If you should describe your latest success with a metaphor, what metaphor would that be? Like a firework, visible to all and ever so beautiful? Like a wave in the sea, difficult to see and gone in a second? You can work with metaphors to get a long-lasting picture of the goal, and also when coaching on successes. You remind the person of what they want just by mentioning the picture. If you send a picture of a sun on an email, you will remind the focus person of who they are and what they mean for other people. You do not have to add text or sound. The person receiving the sun will remember the appreciation you gave and do it even more. When you coach on successes, you can repeat the metaphor in your questions like, how can you experience a firework like that again? If your next wave should be a large wave, making every surfer happy, what would it take for you personally? You can use a metaphor to see a challenge in a different perspective, like, when I listen to you, I get a picture of you swimming in the open sea and not knowing where to go. How does that fit with how you perceive the situation? As mentioned earlier, some people are more happy about metaphors than others. Listen to the focus person to discover whether they use metaphors in their language. It can be easier to talk about feelings through a metaphor. A metaphor can include words, pictures, sounds, and feelings, and it adds a new way of asking questions. How far are you willing to swim before you turn around? How long time are you going to swim round and round in circles before you start acting? Intuition is a feeling or something you sense. Intuition is a feeling you have that tells you something without anything being said. You have used your intuition when you find yourself saying, I don't know why I did it. It just felt like the right thing to do. When you use your intuition as a coach, you shed light on things that the focus person has said and not yet accepted. For instance, well, I do think that the suggestion can be okay. At the same time, you see the person avoiding eye contact. Ask the focus person how much they believe that the suggestion is good. Other visible signs to trigger your intuition are when you discover the focus person is getting pale, sits uneasily in his chair, breathes more fast from the chest and not slowly and using the stomach. Tonation is vaguer or more powerful, speeds up or slows down when speaking. Pauses are getting longer or shorter. A word or a sentence takes longer time. When you see your intuition, you get faster access to what the focus person's issue is really all about. Make your observations available to the focus person. You use your intuition when you are listening on level 2 and 3. Habits and anchors. How do you keep a good habit or change a bad one? A good habit is supporting you, and a bad habit is not supporting you but limits you. The coach can help the focus person to do more of what they're good at by reminding about what this person do that really works. A good habit can be: I appreciate people and they are working faster. I take decisions and act upon them. I give my opinion openly and I'm acknowledged for it. I present my ideas and the chance of getting my ideas chosen is higher. I structure my day and that makes me efficient. I continuously learn to improve my skills. I plan before doing, and it gives me a better end result. I focus on details to avoid making mistakes. Here are some examples of what a bad habit can be. I get irritated when others can't see the necessity of getting quick results and my temper is affecting others, and I get irritated of my own behavior too. I get scared when changes are happening which I am not in control of. I tend to get paralyzed. I'm afraid to make mistakes and I start to do my job with less quality if I'm afraid that a mistake can happen. I get upset when I discover that others don't care about doing their job right, and it irritates me afterwards. I get sad when others don't understand my ideas 100%. I withdraw my ideas. I'm not talking to others at social events, but keep my opinion and ideas to myself. It means that I do not affect my surroundings. I get nervous when a solution is not planned 100%, and that means that my work takes longer time than my colleagues. I take decisions fast and are not committed to all of them. That means that I'm perceived as less trustworthy person. Your task as a coach is to get the focus person to see his or her habits more clearly and how to act upon them. It can take months with full focus to change a bad habit to a better one, and a good tool to help change a habit is an anchor. An anchor is a set of actions and to be done in a special priority. The actions can be a mixture of thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. Go to See It in Action on this topic to see an example of how to build an anchor for a person who gets irritated by others if they don't understand that quick results are the most important. It is quite time-consuming to build an anchor, but it is important with these repetitions. The priorities of the activities are important for the focus person to be able to change the habit to a better one. If a sparring partner is saying, "Well, pull yourself together and control your irritation," it will most probably not change anything. When the anchor has been used for a while, it's not necessary anymore. Hopefully, the focus person has reached his or her goal and has changed the habit. Postponement syndrome. Some people have a tendency to postpone decisions and actions. The coach asks questions through the phases goal, reality, and options, and when the coaching enters the will phase, the focus person finds a good excuse for not taking a decision and acting upon it. The excuses can be: the timing is not right. There are prerequisites that needs to be dealt with first. It would not be right for this and that person. Maybe I should ensure before I can. Express what you observe as a coach. Be direct and ask, what is it about you that makes you postpone your decisions? How is postponing decisions and actions a normal pattern in your life? How can you change the habit of postponing? Learning styles. The way we learn is affecting how we perceive our constructed reality, our possibilities, our chances of success, and our will and courage to act. David Kolb created a model to understand different learning styles better, and that model can help the coach to understand the focus person's preferred learning style. Once you know a person's preferred learning style and your own preferred learning style, you can adjust how you ask questions to better meet the focus person's needs. The adjustment will better support the focus person to create a movement. To be the best coach, you need to understand your own preferred learning style and how it affects your preferred way of coaching. Kolb has divided the learning styles into two axes: feeling versus thinking, and doing versus watching. This gives 4 cakes, each representing a learning style. Here's an adapted version of what Kolb's 4 learning styles represent. Accommodating, doing, and feeling. This person is extrovert and uses intuition to guide him or her to start acting. It is a very hands-on person, quick on foot to set targets and act upon them. He or she has an experiential, practical, and trial and error approach to find out what works and what doesn't. Logic and analysis is not the preferred starting point where hands-on is. This person is quite happy with other people's analysis to lean on and is too impatient to be skeptical about them. Action and initiative drives this person to seek new challenges and experiences, preferably together with other people. This person seeks changes and the why in everything and how things can change by thinking differently. This person loves to tell the whole story without interruptions and with an interested audience. The coach can interrupt when using empathy and sympathy, and that is needed since the person tends to think many thoughts at the same time and needs help to stay focused. As a coach, this person loves to hear the story and can ask questions like, "What happened then? What did he do? What did you think then? Why didn't you do the opposite? How come she didn't say anything?" The coach can benefit from using curiosity to help the focus person to find options, choose the best options, and start acting instead of dwelling in the story for too long. Diverging, feeling and watching. This person is introvert and tends to step back and look at things from different perspectives before taking any actions. Feelings are guiding him or her to hold back to understand how a certain possibility may feel. This person likes to work with other people and prefers to let others be the first movers. This way the person can watch before acting and will then join the activities when having had the opportunity to watch and then sense if the activity feels good. This person is interested in other people and enjoys being a part of a brainstorm rather than being in a decision forum. Personal feedback is very welcome. This person loves different perspectives and often asks, "What if?" This person can think or say, "What if things were different? What if the problem wasn't there? What if it had been your brother? What if you didn't do it? What if the other person is not thinking what you believe he's thinking?" As a coach, this person has the ability to be creative in his or her questions to find more perspectives. On the other hand, this coach needs to be able to move on to help the focus person to take actions. The coach can benefit from training to limit the curiosity to what will help the focus person to create a movement. Assimilating, watching and thinking. This person is introvert and prefers logic, information, and analysis as preparation before acting. A theoretical approach is preferred instead of a practical, and this person thrives when having to organize and structure a lot of details and information. That is also why this person needs a lot of thinking time before considering acting. Making mistakes in the process is not acceptable to this person, and that is why many a consideration is on how to avoid them. Since this person is occupied with tasks and not people, he or she prefers to leave out the troublesome thinking about relationships and instead concentrate on exploring a situation from an analytical angle based on proven methods. This person prefers to tell a story or listen to a story in the right chronological order. This is to ensure the knowledge of what is related to what and what came first, in the middle, and last. This person loves systematics, and you often hear this from a focus person. You need to understand how this meeting was initiated, who attended, and the exact agenda before I can tell you about the essence of the meeting. You need to understand the organizational chart before you can understand the relation and how hard this case is to handle. And this can be heard from a coach. To be able to understand you, I must know whom you first met. How often do you have these meetings? When did your manager say something? The coach needs to train how to get an overview of a situation without digging into details. The focus person knows all of that, and he or she has own solutions. The coach's job is to help the focus person to create a movement and not to fully understand all details in a story. Converging, doing and thinking. This person is extrovert and prefers to find quick solutions to practical problems. Making decisions on problems and tasks going on in the moment is the driver for this person to be able to act quickly. This person is occupied with tasks and challenging problems and is at the same time impatient to finalize the task. That is why long discussions and seeing a challenge or a possibility from different perspectives is not as attractive as noting a problem and start acting upon it. This person uses own experiences to think and find the solution, and since social relationships with other people does not seem important, this person will rely on own thinking to find the solution. Experimenting with new ideas and practically work with the ideas is preferred. This person loves acting and is not ready to wait. This can often be heard from this person. The easiest way to success is the best. It cannot be hard. Let us finish the conversation so I can test it. This person is probably very quick to jump from goal to will and wanting to act immediately. There's a need to help the focus person to brainstorm on different perspectives, both in reality and options. As a coach, this person has a fast pace trying to get the focus person to take quick decisions. The coach can be impatient with introvert people and need to find a way to stay in reflection for a longer time. It is especially useful to be curious about the constructed reality and when opening up for different perspectives and finding options. It is the coach's responsibility to discover the learning style of both the focus person and him or herself, and adjust own behavior to match the focus person's even better. It does not mean that the coach has to match all the time. Mismatching can be very beneficial sometimes, as long as the coach is aware of own intentions. For instance, an accommodating person is telling a long story and an interruption can be beneficial. A converging person wants to jump to conclusions and actions and needs to be forced to reflect upon alternative perspectives. A diverging person wants to work with others on a task and needs to be challenged to act without waiting for others. An assimilating person wants to plan for a long time and needs to be challenged to a trial and error process. Think about you as a coach and how fast you want others to act, or if you don't come to actions at all. Think about what the focus person needs you to do, what their strengths are, and what they need to focus on to be even more successful. Think about whether you support or disturb the process. Change learning style if necessary, and notice if your questions brings the coaching process on or off track.